Now, this is one of my favorite ones. This is actually where he lived, at 70 Victor Road in Bradford, England. That's the door that Brother Summerall walked up to, knocked on it, and Wigglesworth asked him, "What's under your arm?" And Brother Summerall took the newspaper, put it under the bushes there. Today, that home is owned by a family of Muslims. That it is now in a Muslim community there in Bradford.
What's up, you guys? Alex Parkinson here with the Zion Company, and today I'm going to share with you the story of the time that I actually got to go inside of Smith Wigglesworth's house. So I'm excited to dive into this. If you're new to my channel, consider subscribing. We'd love for you to join our community. Here at the Zion Company, we engage the kingdom of heaven and transform the earth all around us. So if that sounds like something that you're into and you want to be a part of, definitely subscribe, and also comment below what you thought of this video, because I'd love to hear, have you been to Smith Wigglesworth's house? Have you heard of anyone else who has gone to the Wigglesworth's home? I'd love to hear in the comments below. But guys, this is going to be a good one. Definitely watch till the end, because what happens inside of Smith Wigglesworth's home was truly miraculous. We had some amazing testimonies and things break out actually inside the home. So you're going to want to listen to the very end. So why don't we just go ahead and get into this. Now guys, I love revival history. I like church history, but I am one that loves to study God's generals. I love to look at men and women of God that the Lord has used mightily. And if you don't know who Smith Wigglesworth was, he was a British evangelist, often called the Apostle of Faith. The man had seen many, countless miracles, actually including a counted number of 26 resurrections from the dead. Mighty man of faith. And before he became a preacher, though, he was a believer who lived an average life as a plumber. And his role oftentimes was supporting his wife, Polly, who is the preacher. And she was a fiery woman of God. But Smith actually didn't get touched by the Lord in a dramatic way until he was 48 years old. And that's when he received the baptism of the Holy Spirit. And he points to that moment to where everything changed in his life. And so Smith began to become a fiery preacher himself, even though previously he had a speech impediment, which restricted him from speaking well. But God touched him and he was able to preach, and he became mightily used by the Lord. If you want to study the life of Smith Wigglesworth more, definitely pick up a copy of God's Generals by Roberts Liardon. That's a very good start, into studying his life. Roberts also has this book available, and I put it on my desk so that I can show you guys. It's his life teachings and just a collection. This is also compiled by Roberts Liardon, and so look how thick this is. This thing is huge, and it's got all of his material in there. So definitely look into his life, because he's just quite an amazing gem in revival history. Why don't we back up to 2015? I have some good friends, Charlie and Bryn Champ of Destiny Encounters International, and they were actually living in the United Kingdom at the time for a short season doing ministry, and they invited me to come serve and help them out in the UK. So I had received an opportunity to fly to the UK to join them and assist their ministry. And so while with them in Northern England, we were doing some meetings and happened to have a few days off. And I remember coming downstairs from the host home that we were in, and Charlie had received a dream where the Lord had showed him that we were to go to Bradford, England, to visit some of the Smith Wigglesworth sites. And I had felt a strong stirring in my spirit whenever I woke up that we were also to go do this. So it was confirmed, and we got in the car, myself and Charlie's family, and we drove about 2.5 hours to Bradford, and we visited several sites because there are many different sites that you could find right there in Bradford. One is Wigglesworth's Street Mission, where he conducted meetings. We went to that building, prayed there. We also visited the church that Brother Wigglesworth passed away in, And many people don't know this, but Smith Wigglesworth actually died peacefully right after preaching. He had preached a sermon, and he was actually found in the back room at a desk just like this, with his head down on his hands, and he had just transitioned to glory peacefully. I thought that was kind of a beautiful way in which he went to be with the Lord right after doing what he was passionate about, preaching the gospel. And so we visited that church as well and saw that location. We also went to his grave site, and the last thing that was on our list to try to do was to find where he lived. We had been given an address as to where Smith could have lived, and so we followed it on our, they call it a sat nav in the UK. We didn't have a GPS on our phones or anything in this time, but we followed the sat nav to the address. And now, guys, we weren't going to bother anybody. We just wanted to, if anything, confirm that it was the house and stand outside and maybe take a picture, but we weren't trying to bother nobody. And so, but nonetheless, we arrive at the street that we believe his house would have been on. And the problem, though, is that the house number we were given wasn't seen, and we begin to see that the house that Smith lived in didn't have a house number anymore. And how we found that out is because we all parked the car, and Charlie had gotten out and knocked on a door, and a Pakistani gentleman answered, and he angrily said, it's the house next door. And you could tell that he'd been bothered quite a bit, that people may have come and asked him before. So Charlie goes to the house next door, knocks on the door, and a Pakistani woman answers. And now, guys, Bradford, England, it has a very high Muslim population, and so many Pakistani communities in the area. So this woman answers, and Charlie says, hello, I was wondering if this is the house that Smith Wigglesworth lived in. And the woman said, oh yes, there was a man of God by the name of Smith Wigglesworth who lived here. And she began to tell Charlie how she actually found some of his journals in the attic, and I believe passed them on to Robert's Liardon somehow. And maybe if Roberts sees this video, he can comment below to confirm. But I had been told that things like his Bible or his journals were passed down and given to somebody, and it was believed to be Robert's Liardon. So I don't know if that's true. So anyhow, she begins to confirm that this is indeed Smith Wigglesworth's house. And Charlie says, well, I wasn't sure because the house number is missing. And the lady actually begins to say, oh yes, some crazy Christians came a couple years ago and actually begged us for the house number. They asked if they could keep it, and so we just let them have it, which is quite funny, but what's even funnier is we later found out that was a mutual friend of ours that had actually did that. And we don't condone, again, we don't want to bother people, Charlie, when he heard this, he said, oh, well, it's funny because I'm here to take the door. And when he said this, the woman just began to laugh. I mean, that just tickled her. She began to laugh, and she actually invited him to come inside. And he said, well, can my family come? So I can't remember if we got a text or if Charlie just motioned us to come over, but you're being invited inside of Smith Wigglesworth's house. So we are inside his house. They're giving us a tour of the kitchen, of the bedrooms, of every place, and we go upstairs, and the woman living there says, and this is Smith Wigglesworth's room that he would pray and study in. And we walked in, and Charlie and I looked at each other, and we couldn't believe what was happening, because we study other, men of God too, like Dr. Lester Summerall, who is connected to Smith Wigglesworth, and we've heard his stories of how he would show up to Smith's house to pray and study in that very room. And so we just thought, whoa, this is such a wild experience, such an amazing moment. And the lady just left us to ourselves in that room, and we began to pray. and we could begin to feel the presence of God just flood inside the home. And it was like the atmosphere just changed all around us. And next thing you know, we were beginning to feel moved to go back downstairs to pray for the Pakistani family that lived there. Not only were we in Smith Wigglesworth's home, but we were in a home full of Pakistani women, and the husband wasn't there. There weren't any men there, which is, in that culture, if I understand right, is kind of a big no-no. Women don't let men and other people in the home if the man isn't there. That was such a big deal. But we go down there and we begin to talk with them more, and we confirm they're from Pakistan, begin to share with them, different things about Jesus. And Charlie, at that time, had actually gotten a word of knowledge for the main woman that was showing us around. I believe she was the mother of the home. And he got a word of knowledge that she had shoulder pain. So Charlie prays for her shoulder, and as he's praying, he's getting other things from the Lord, where the Lord is showing him that she has constant migraines and this and this. And as he's calling these things out by the Spirit of God, the woman actually begins to break down weeping, and she puts her face inside of her hands and begins to weep uncontrollably. And so the presence of God was just touching her. And he looked at me and he said, "Do you got anything too?" And I said, "Yeah, I feel like the Lord was showing me that all of you guys are suffering from night terrors, that you get tormented in the night." And they were all like, their eyes got big because they began to confirm that they had been having, really bad nightmares. And they even said that they have had paranormal activity and believed that the ghost of Smith Wigglesworth was in their home. And so we had to clear that up and tell them that the ghost of Smith Wigglesworth isn't in their home. We did share the gospel with them and just loved on them. And it was such an amazing moment because they received us, and, they welcomed us in. And we were not only in the Smith Wigglesworth's house, but we're praying for the family in there, and God is healing them. And it just goes to show the same presence and power that, is from Jesus Christ, but was in operation in the life of Smith Wigglesworth, was still tangible in that place. This family was just getting touched by Jesus Christ. And we just thought this was such an amazing testimony and moment with God. Definitely a divine appointment where the Lord gave us favor to go in and to minister to the family. And this is a testimony and a story that I personally will never forget. I think I'll be, an old man and remember the time when I was in Bradford, England, and got to go inside the home of Smith Wigglesworth. And so I thought I'd share this story with you guys for all of my friends out there who love, God's generals and revival history stuff. I thought this would bless some of you guys to hear, definitely to stir you. I encourage you guys just to be led by the Spirit and open to, the still small voice of the Lord, where he may nudge you to go on an adventure with him. You never know what will open up. I have other stories like this that I could tell, and so maybe I'll do some more videos of different instances. But let me know what you think about this in the comment below. Let me know if this stirred you, blessed you, or was just simply a cool story to listen to. I pray it was. And guys, don't forget to subscribe. That would definitely help me out, as well as liking this video. When people like the videos, what it does is it lets YouTube know that this is good stuff and we should push it out to more people. And I think, we need to tell God's stories and flood YouTube and the internet with the goodness and glory of God. So until next time, my friends, I will see you guys again soon. Thank you so much for your time, for watching this video. God bless you all. Talk to you soon.